When I needed my children most, they left me. Then an amazing help was revealed. The summer sun was blazing over Tom's auto shop, its warmth a cruel contrast to the chill settling in his heart. He wiped sweat from his brow, but the weight of abandonment lingered like the grease on his hands. When his wife walked out, it shattered his world. How could she leave us? Echoed in his mind as he turned wrenches, the repetitive action now filled with despair. His 3 kids had distanced themselves, retreating into their own struggles, leaving only silence in the home that once overflowed with laughter. But as the scent of freshly cut grass filled the air and the sound of kids playing around the block drifted in, his shop felt more like a tomb than a place of dreams. The judgment from neighbors stung, eyes that once sparkled with camaraderie now shadowed with pity. Could he rise from this? Then, just when it seemed life had nothing left to offer, an unexpected friendship began to bloom. Joe, a retired veteran with stories that could weave magic. Joe would wander in, sharing tales of days gone by when cars had character, reminding Tom of the warmth he missed. In his rugged presence, Tom found comfort. They shared laughter and memories, and slowly, around greasy engines and uneven toolbox cabinets, they began to forge a plan. "Tom," Joe said, determination etching lines on his weathered face, "you can't lose hope. We need to bring this town back together." The realization struck Tom hard. Together, they would revive not just his shop but also the spirit of the community. They rallied the neighbors, and bit by bit, the town that had once felt so distant began to embrace the idea of unity again. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day of the fundraiser came, filled with laughter and the scent of barbecue wafting through the air. Tom stood amidst the crowd, his heart thumping like a drum. But just as his gaze settled on the familiar faces of his neighbors, he caught sight of his children arriving late. They hovered at the periphery, hesitant and uncertain, trying to navigate their own pain. In that moment, a wave of helplessness washed over Tom. He suddenly realized his fight wasn't just for the shop, it was for his family, for those fragile bonds that had frayed. Stepping forward, he felt the eyes of the townsfolk on him, the love and support vibrating through the air. Would this be enough to reach his kids? All the missed moments, the lost laughter, the love he longed to share rushed back to him, and as he looked into his children's eyes, the flicker of hope ignited. But just as he mustered the courage to speak, a surprise announcement rippled through the crowd, leaving all his dreams hanging in the balance. What would this mean for him, for them? Could they build a path back to each other from this moment? The announcement rang out, a boom that silenced the crowd. "We have a special guest joining us today." The murmur of curiosity spread like wildfire, causing every head to turn toward the entrance. Tom's heart raced as he fought to comprehend the words. His children exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from uncertainty to intrigue. Suddenly, the community center doors swung open, and in strode a figure wrapped in a powerful presence. It was the mayor, her enthusiasm infectious. "I can't believe the turnout. This is a testament to your hard work, Tom. Everyone's come together in a way that we haven't seen in years." Her words should have filled Tom with pride, yet they hung in the air like a charged storm cloud. He knew they were true, but his eyes were still glued to his children, clinging to a flicker of hope amidst the chaos of the moment. The mayor continued, "Today, alongside our fundraiser, we're kicking off the town's revitalization project. We want to make this town a better place for all families. And I have an exciting surprise." Tom felt his stomach twist. What could possibly overshadow this moment? As the mayor unveiled new plans for a community park, a small library, and spaces for families to gather, he sensed the rumblings of excitement blend with undercurrents of anxiety. This was a beautiful gesture, but did it account for what he truly needed? His children's faces were taut, glimmers of interest, but tethered to shadows of doubt. Could a revitalization project give them back their laughter? Could it heal the wounds that seemed to stretch further each day? Just then, he noticed a shift in their posture. They were inching closer, curiosity overriding insecurity. It felt like an opening, but he was also painfully aware that words would be crucial now. Taking a deep breath, he stepped onto an improvised stage, the old wooden crates that held stacks of barbecue trays. "Thank you, everyone," he called out, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "This day isn't just about rebuilding our town. It's about rebuilding dreams together." His gaze locked onto his children, who were now standing side by side, fingers entwined. "Together isn't just my shop or this event. It's about all of us. It's about family, community." He hesitated, feeling the emotion gather. "It's about the things we've lost. Let's make today not just about what we gain, but about what we nurture." The crowd applauded, but Tom's focus remained solely on his children, pleading with them to see how important they were to him. As the applause faded, he watched their faces soften, and for the first time in what felt like ages, he thought he saw a hint of understanding. But then, a voice pierced the moment. "Dad?" The oldest, Mia, spoke up nervously, her eyes searching his for answers. "What do you mean, about nurturing? Are you saying we can fix things?" Tom's heart pounded, warmth flooding his chest. This was the question he needed. This moment was a step. "We can," he replied, his voice low and filled with conviction. "But it starts here and now. Would you help me?" The crowd held its breath, awaiting their response. His children's faces were a mixture of hesitation and hope, a delicate dance on the edge of healing. Tom felt an eruption of hope bubbling within him, yet tremendous fear loomed just behind it. Would they take his hand, even now? As the tension hung heavy in the air, another spoke up from the back of the crowd. "Don't give up on them, Tom. We all believe in you." The support echoed across faces of families, friends, and neighbors. A moment of truth began to unfold, but the question remained: would Tom's children walk this path of healing with him, or retreat back into their own solitude? The silence lingered, and Tom stood on that makeshift stage, heart racing, yearning for connection. Beneath the sunshine and the support of their community, a flicker of possibility lay before them, fragile but glowing. What could they build together from this moment? Mia's gaze flickered between Tom and her younger siblings, Sam and Lily. A blend of courage and uncertainty played across her face. The crowd's energy buzzed around them, but to Tom, it felt as if the world had narrowed to just the three of them. This was it. This was the moment that could change everything. "Dad," Mia started again, her voice steadier this time. "What do you really mean by nurturing? How do we fix things?" Her question hung between them like an unspooled thread, inviting them to weave something new. The weight of her words filled Tom's heart with both hope and dread. He realized this wasn't just about the town revitalizing. It was about them revitalizing, too. He took a step closer, lowering his voice so only they could hear. "Nurturing means taking care of each other. It means opening up and being honest about our feelings, even when it's hard. We've been through a lot, and I know I haven't always been there the way you needed me to be. I want to change that." Tom's voice cracked with emotion as he continued. "Together, we can find a way to heal. I need you just as much as you need me. Will you help me to take this first step?" Silence fell. Sam looked at Mia, his brow furrowing in thought, then turned to Lily. Tom's breath caught in his throat. What if they turned away? What if the fear overwashed their hope? Mia took a deep breath, her shoulders straightening. "I think we can try, Dad. Together." A warmth surged through Tom as understanding flickered in her eyes. It was a fragile yet powerful moment. As she reached out a hand, Sam followed suit, and soon Lily was grasping their fingers, their little hands joining in the circle. Together they formed a solid foundation, a unity that was stronger than their doubts. "I'm proud of you all," Tom said, tears brimming in his eyes. The crowd erupted in applause, but Tom's focus remained on his children. "Let us start small, one step at a time. I'm going to be here every step of the way." A loud cheer erupted from the audience, a wave of support crashing against the heaviness in Tom's heart. But amidst the excitement, another voice rang out. This time, it belonged to an older gentleman, Mr. Henderson, who had been in the community for decades. "You're not alone in this journey, Tom," he said with conviction. "We'll all be by your side." The warmth in Tom's chest grew, and he turned, scanning the sea of supportive faces. Here was the community he'd fought to keep his family in, the kind of collective strength the town needed right now. As he stood on that stage, the uncertainty began to drain, replaced by anticipation. They would rebuild together. They would nurture the scars left by the past. But just as Tom's vision began to clear, a sharp voice echoed from the far end of the crowd. "You think this will change anything? You've lost so much, and it's too late." The man's bitterness sliced through the budding hope, causing a collective hush to fall over the gathering. Tom felt the piercing dagger of doubt stab through the fragile layer of connection he had just begun to build. He looked into his children's eyes and wondered, had he truly made it too late? The weight of the moment pressed down on him again, turning joy into a tight knot of fear. Would they let the cynicism swallow their budding hope? Mia squeezed his hand, sensing his turmoil. "Dad, let us show them, let us prove them wrong together," she whispered firmly. Suddenly, Tom felt a surge of determination, the kind that only comes when faced with resistance. Would they rise above the shadows of doubt, or let it dictate their future? As they stood there hand in hand, with their community around them, the path ahead was filled with uncertainty yet abundant with promise. The question lingered in the air, fragile and beautiful: would this be the moment that defines them, or would they let it slip away? The air was thick with tension. Tom's heart raced as the crowd absorbed the harsh words that had just cut through the moment. He felt the weight of every eye on him, each one holding its own expectation, its own judgment. What if the challenge had been too great? What if he was not the father they needed after all? But then, Mia's voice broke through the silence like a gentle breeze. "We can do this together, Dad." Her unwavering confidence anchored him, and he felt the knot in his stomach begin to loosen. In that instant, he realized that they were not just facing this together as a family, they were confronting the doubts of an entire community. "Let us not back down," he declared, his voice rising above the whispers. "If there's one thing we can be certain of, it's that change doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in silence either." He held his children's hands tightly, feeling the warmth of their connection swell within him. Sam lifted his small voice above the crowd. "People said our family wouldn't be able to get back what we lost. But they're wrong. We're here now." The innocence in his words cast a ripple of hope through the audience. Encouraged by the spark of bravery in his brother, Lily clasped her hands together and shouted, "Yeah. We believe in our family." The ripple turned into a wave as applause erupted once more, resistance beginning to melt under the warmth of their unity. Tom watched as smiles broke out across faces that had mirrored doubt moments before. Maybe, just maybe, they could shift the narrative from feeling defeated to feeling empowered. Mr. Henderson stepped up, encouraged by the children's unexpected bravery. "You've sparked something here, Tom," he called out, clapping twice. "Let us rally around these kids. They've shown us what it means to have hope." With that, the crowd began to chant encouragement, transforming a flicker of hope into a roaring flame. But then, from the corner of the crowd, the voice of the cynical man spoke again, full of scorn. "Hope doesn't change reality. You're still the same failures you were before." Fear crept back into Tom's heart, threatening to snuff out the warmth the children had ignited. Mia turned slowly toward the voice, their connection momentarily breaking. "Dad," she said, her voice steady and clear, "he's wrong. We're not failures, we're just starting over. Just because we made mistakes, it doesn't mean we can't become something new. Tom's breath hitched. There it was, the vulnerability and strength wrapped into one. The idea of starting over was foreign yet deeply enticing. Maybe the naysayers were more afraid of change than they were of failure. He took a step forward, emboldened by Mia's wisdom. You're right, Mia. Starting over means embracing the past but not letting it define us. We're a blended family, and every scar is part of our journey. We're not failures, we're fighters. The crowd roared in agreement, their voices intertwined in a crescendo that felt healing. Tom looked at his children, watching them beam with pride. He felt a rush of gratitude, knowing that they were not only finding their way back to each other, but they were also finding a purpose among the people who looked to them for guidance. Just as hope lingered in the air, another voice chimed in from the back, shaking the newfound energy among them. What good is hope without action? The mockery echoed between the buildings, a stark reminder that real change needed more than just words. As the crowd quieted, Tom realized that the next chapter of their story had begun to unfold. It wouldn't be easy, but together they would work to transform doubt into possibility. What would these actions look like? Would they be enough to reclaim their family and community? Tom squeezed Mia's hand even tighter, uncertainty clouding his mind. The journey ahead awaited their first step, yet he was left to ponder the question, what needed to be done to prove naysayers wrong? Tom inhaled deeply, letting the electric energy of the crowd wash over him. The challenge laid before them lingered in the air, thick with anticipation and the weight of expectations. He could sense the questions swirling, each one as daunting as the last. Were they truly ready to take that first step? Mia's presence grounded him. He looked down at her, her face glowing with determination, as if she could face any challenge the world tossed their way. We have to show them what we can do, she whispered, as if reading the thoughts in his mind. Right, he replied, steeling his resolve. Let us start with a plan. He turned to Mr. Henderson, who was still at the front, slightly flushed with excitement. What do you think we should do? Mr. Henderson adjusted his glasses, his eyes twinkling with resolve. We can organize a community cleanup day. Let us show people that action speaks louder than words, he suggested, his voice gaining momentum. Tom nodded. And we can set up a family workshop, something to bring people together, share our stories, and begin healing. The crowd's murmurs shifted from uncertain whispers to enthusiastic chatter. Support began blossoming under the surface, sprouting from their collective desire for change. Tom felt it, hope taking root. As the planning took shape, Lily tugged on Tom's sleeve, her expression both earnest and insistent. Dad, can I help? I want to talk to everyone at school. They'll come. Tom knelt down so they were eye level. Absolutely, Lily. We'll need everyone on board, your friends, their families. We need to throw our arms wide open. Her face lit up, a smile bursting forth like sunlight. Okay. She scampered off to join a group of children nearby, bursting with ideas. Tom watched her go, pride swelling in his chest. Look at this, he whispered to Mia. The energy among them had shifted palpably. The challenges that loomed were still big, but their family was becoming a beacon. They were turning doubt into determination. Yet, just then, the cynical voice returned, even louder. You think a workshop is going to change anything? You think cleaning up this mess will fix your shattered lives? Fear snaked back into Tom's chest, but he felt the warm grip of Mia's hand squeezing his tighter. Don't listen to him, Dad, she said firmly. He straightened up, choosing to push through the bitter words. No, it's not about fixing everything. It's about trying. Every small step counts. And that's how we turn our mistakes into something positive. Mr. Henderson stepped forward. You're right. It's time to show we care, publicly. If starting over is what we're doing, then let us start now with action. Murmurs of agreement filled the crowd, followed by nods and encouraging words. The contempt of the doubters began to drown in the waves of hope washing over them, so alive it was almost tangible. As the plan set into motion, Tom felt lighter, buoyed by the thought that maybe, just maybe, they were beginning to win their community back. But later that night, as he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, a new fear crept into his heart. What if they succeeded beyond his wildest expectations? Could he keep up? Could they weather the storm of obstacles that might still lie ahead? The door creaked open, and Mia slipped inside, her face still lit with excitement. "Dad," she said quietly, "I was thinking if people wanted to come and share their stories, I could help. We could make it a special night." Tom's heart skipped. "You want to help coordinate that?" "Yeah. I think people would really open up if we shared about what we've all been through. You've taught me that." A smile broke through his worry, and he embraced her tightly. "That's brilliant, Mia." As she climbed back into bed, Tom's mind raced with possibilities. They were on the brink of something powerful. Would the night come together as they hoped? And just as he felt peace wash over him, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I know what you've done. You need to watch your back." The joy in his heart started to twist into something very different. What danger lurked as they dared to take their first steps towards change? Tom couldn't shake off the message. The words burned into his mind, shadowing the excitement that had just blossomed. He tossed and turned, staring at the dark ceiling, unable to find the calm he had just felt with Mia. "Dad?" Mia's voice broke through the thick silence of the room as she peeked in again, her brow furrowed with concern. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, just a little restless," he lied, trying to muster a smile. But she could see the worry etched on his face. "Are you thinking about the cleanup?" she asked, her voice thick with empathy. "It's more than that, sweetie," he admitted, sitting up. "It's the future. I just want to protect you and Lily. What if this doesn't go as planned?" Mia climbed into bed beside him. She took his hand, her small fingers wrapping around his tightly. "But what if it does? I mean, you said every step counts. How can we not try?" Tom looked into her eyes, finding solace in that familiar spark of resilience. "You're right. As long as we take those steps together, we can handle whatever comes our way." "Exactly." The two shared a determined look before Tom reached for his phone, needing to shake off the doubt. But no matter how hard he tried, the wicked voice of the message clung like a shadow that wouldn't fade. In the early morning light, the plan for the community engagement began taking shape. Tom and Mia gathered supplies, printed flyers, and called friends. Everything seemed to flow, their hearts buoyed by a shared purpose. The designs filled the walls with bright colors, promises of connection and healing. Yet, as they worked, the phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Mr. Henderson, confirming more volunteers were stepping up. Joy bubbled in Tom's chest. Could the community really be rising to the occasion? However, the gnawing feeling wouldn't let go. While Mia excitedly brainstormed workshop themes, Tom pulled a chair away from the table, needing to step outside for a breath. The sun was bright, but he felt a chill creep up his spine as if someone was watching. He moved behind the house, where the trees stood like sentinels. As he stared into the distance, the laughing voices of Mia and Lily drifted from the kitchen. That joy was their reason for fighting, but what if someone threatened that safety? Just then, the bushes rustled behind him. Instinctively, he turned, heart pounding in his chest. A stray cat darted out, almost seeming to mock his jumpiness. He chuckled, shaking his head for being so easily startled. As he walked back inside, he thought about why the message had unsettled him so deeply. It wasn't directly threatening, it felt more like a specter of his past and insecurity that what had happened once could happen again. He couldn't let fear choke the hope budding in their community. "Tom," Mia called, her voice filled with excitement. "Mr. Henderson just brought over more flyers and donations. We're going to need a bigger board." Fantastic. Let us gather everyone and make it happen. He found his groove, shifting his focus into the joy that surrounded him, but as the enthusiasm surged, the nagging sense of dread loomed larger. The pieces of their plan started to converge: food, activities, stories. Yet, the darker threads still hung in his mind. Later that evening, as they sat around the table for dinner, Lily piped up with a question that made Tom's heart twist. "Dad, are you scared about the cleanup?" "No, honey, why would I be?" "Because it's not just litter, is it? It's about what happened to us." The weight of those words hung heavily in the air. "I mean, it's about showing people we care," she continued. "But it's also scary to let them in." Tom swallowed hard. How had his little girl tapped into such a profound truth? "It is scary," he confessed. "But sometimes facing those fears brings the biggest rewards." "What if people don't come?" Mia asked softly. "What if they do?" Tom countered, their eyes meeting. "We'll hope for the best, because together, that matters most." Yet, as they cleared the table, they received another notification. It was anonymous again: "Play nice, or else you'll face the consequences." Tom's heart dropped. Just when they thought they could embrace the community, the specter of their past was rising again. What consequences lay ahead, and could he protect them? He gathered Mia and Lily close, knowing their strength was tethered together. But could they withstand the storm that was brewing on the horizon? Tom's heart raced as he looked into the eyes of his daughters. They were both so young, yet so insightful. He couldn't let fear consume him, not now. With a deep breath, he pulled them in tighter, the scent of home and the familiar warmth of their little bodies a comforting shield against the unseen threats lurking just over the horizon. "Let us not focus on those messages," he said, forcing a smile. "We've got a community to rally, remember?" Lily nodded, her bright eyes sparkling with hope. "Yeah. We can be like superheroes." Mia grinned, running a hand through her hair, the evening light catching the strands. "Superheroes don't back down. We'll rise together." "Exactly. So let us create a plan. We start small, but we make a big impact," Tom urged, the sense of purpose washing over him. They brainstormed ideas, jotting down everything from a community barbecue to art showcases. The laughter flowed like music, and for a moment, the looming darkness faded. It was beautiful to witness their innocence, their dreams intertwining with the strands of hope Tom desperately clung to. After dinner, Tom tucked the girls in, and though the house was now silent save for the occasional creaking of wood or the soft hum of the fridge, his mind churned with worry. He couldn't ignore his gut. What if the threats intensified? He could see it now, the charred memories of the past igniting into a fire that threatened to consume their new beginnings. But then, in the quiet of the night, something caught his eye outside. He crept to the window, peering through the glass that glinted in the moonlight. The street was empty, but not far off, a flicker of movement drew his attention. The neighbor's porch light flicked on and off, and for a moment, he felt drawn to that flicking light. He opened the front door slowly, careful not to wake anyone. The night air hit him like a cool wave, clearing some of the heavy fog in his mind. He stepped cautiously down the porch steps, feeling a strange pull toward the source of the light. It was an erratic charm, something like a beacon in the dark. As he reached the edge of the property, he noticed a figure moving about, a silhouette against the night. For a flash, his heart erratically raced again, fear prickling at his senses. But as he drew closer, the figure became clearer. It was Mr. Henderson, an old friend from the neighborhood, fiddling with what looked like fairy lights. "Tom!" Henderson exclaimed, almost as if he had been waiting for him. "I thought I'd come help brighten things up a bit. Heard your plans for the cleanup." Tom's shoulders relaxed slightly. "You scared me, man. But it's great to see you. We could use all the help we can get." Henderson chuckled and waved a hand toward the lights in his hands, thought the neighborhood could use some encouragement. "You know, bring people together. As they set up the lights together, Tom felt a surge of hope rekindle within him. Maybe they weren't alone after all. Maybe the community would rally like they had planned. For the first time that night, he felt the shadow lift a little. "I got your back, Tom," Henderson said, standing tall before him. "Whatever it takes, right?" Just then, a thought struck Tom, deep and urgent. What if we organized a light-up-the-night event? It'll be a kickoff for the cleanup, bringing everyone together to celebrate and connect. Now that's a brilliant idea. Henderson grinned, his excitement infectious. As they worked in the moonlight, Tom came to understand that every flicker of light, no matter how small, had the power to cut through the darkness. Together, they could dispel the specter of fear, weaving hope like a tapestry around their community. But just as Tom began to feel that their fears might just transform into something beautiful, his phone buzzed once again. The dread seeped back in as he glanced at the screen. It was an unknown number, another anonymous warning, "Don't get too comfortable. I'm closer than you think." A chill ran through him. Could they really brighten their world amidst the shadows creeping back? As he stood there in the charged air, he felt his resolve hardening. They were about to face something bigger than he had imagined. And yet, he knew one truth: they weren't alone. But as he turned to share the news with Henderson, he couldn't shake the feeling. What lay behind the next corner? And could they light the way before the darkness caught up to them? The dawn was still a long way off. Tom's stomach twisted as he stared at his phone, those ominous words ringing in his head. The light from the screen seemed to pulsate like a heartbeat, each vibration sparking a deeper fear. Mr. Henderson noticed the change in his demeanor. "Hey, everything all right?" Henderson asked, concern etching his features. Tom took a breath. "Just a text. Could be nothing, but yeah. But could also be something. You can't let it get to you." Henderson placed a reassuring hand on Tom's shoulder. "Let us focus on the event, just like we planned. We can really make a difference." Nodding slowly, Tom pushed the fear down into the pit of his stomach. The thrill of their shared project was a distraction, but deep inside, he couldn't shake the feeling that trouble lurked just beyond the door. With Henderson, they set up more lights, their laughter blending with the gentle chirping of crickets. The decorations turned their street into a magical realm, something warm and inviting, drawing in the nearby neighbors. Little by little, others began to trickle out of their homes, curious about the soft glow in the night. As the group started growing, Tom couldn't help but smile. Neighbors shared stories, laughter echoed, and there was a strength in community that felt undeniable. It felt like armor against the dark that threatened to encroach. Someone brought cookies, another some lemonade, and soon enough, they were all working together, hanging garlands of lights and setting up tables. Just when Tom started to believe they might truly light up the night, he felt it, the familiar weight of dread clawing at the edges of his mind. He glanced back at his phone and hesitated, wanting to look away. This wasn't the time to let darkness in. And then, amid the gathering smiles and joyous conversations, the echoes of laughter dimmed. Mia and Lily trotted toward him, bearing the weight of something unexpected. The innocence in their eyes was replaced with a hint of uncertainty. "Daddy, can we talk?" Mia asked, her small hands wringing together. "Of course, sweetheart. What's wrong?" He crouched down to meet their gaze, a smile still plastered to his face, but worry lined his brow. "It's about the lights." Lily's voice trembled slightly. "They're pretty, but they're not bright enough for what's coming. The dark is still there." Tom's breath hitched at her words. It was as if she could see through the veil of hope he had wrapped around them. "What do you mean, honey?" "Like those shadows." Mia pointed behind him where the night grew thicker, almost alive. It was just a fat tree casting a shadow, but in the cool moonlight, it cast a specter. Tom turned and took a deep breath, the air heavy with his daughter's words. "You're brave, Mia. Really brave." He wrapped them both in a hug, hoping to shield them from the fear creeping in. "But we're not going to let those shadows win." We'll keep them behind the lights, okay? But what if they come closer, Daddy? Lily whispered, her small voice strained. Before he could answer, a distant shout disrupted the moment something had gone wrong down the street. A murmur of confusion rippled through the gathering, people turning in concern. The park. Someone's in trouble. A man called. Tom's heart sank as he recognized the panic in his daughters' faces. He needed to reassure them, but he also felt a surge of responsibility to protect the community. What if this was the darkness returning? Stay close to Mr. Henderson, he instructed his girls, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling in his heart. I'll check it out. As he started to move towards the noise, a part of him wondered what lay ahead. What exactly was threatening their newfound hope? Was this the moment the darkness would consume them, or would they find a way to stand together and fight back? The uncertainty clung to him like a chill, and he knew they had only just begun to face what was coming. The shadows danced around them, and now more than ever, he needed to find strength, not just for himself but for his family and their community. How would they unite against the coming storm? Tom pushed through the throng of neighbors, each face a mask of worry and curiosity. The laughter that had filled the air moments ago was replaced with whispers and anxious murmurs. As he moved closer to the park, the shouts grew louder, more urgent. Get back. Stay away. A voice commanded. His heart raced. He rounded a corner and saw a group of children clustered around a boy, seated awkwardly on the grass. The boy cradled his arm, contorted in an unnatural angle, the horror of his expression making Tom's gut twist with fear. Call an ambulance. Someone shouted, panic lacing their words. Tom's breath hitched. He could feel dread coil in his stomach. What if he failed to protect everyone? He stepped forward, voice steady. What happened? He fell off the swing, landed wrong. A girl exclaimed, her eyes wide with fear. Tom knelt alongside the boy, trying to calm the situation. Hey, you're doing great. What's your name? Danny, the boy whimpered. Danny, listen to me. Help is on the way. Just stay still for me, okay? Can you do that? Tom's voice was warm but firm, wrapping Danny in a blanket of reassurance even as his mind raced with uncertainty. Mia and Lily appeared at his side, their eyes brimming with worry. Daddy! They cried, reaching for him. Stay back, girls, he urged gently. It's all right. But the warmth Tom sought to create was shattered by the chaos unfolding. Adult voices raised in panic collided with the cries of children, creating a symphony of dread. Just then, he caught a look at Lily. She had stilled, her gaze transfixed. Daddy, he's hurt, she said, her voice a mere whisper, as if the weight of knowledge pressed upon her small shoulders. I know, sweetie. But it's okay, we're here. He wanted to shield them from this raw, chaotic moment but felt the darkness creeping ever closer. Then, a hand touched his shoulder, sending a shock through him. It was Mr. Henderson, his face set in a determined frown. I'll keep an eye on the girls, he said. The firmness in his voice gave Tom a small sense of security. Thank you, Tom replied, relieved. He took a breath, went back to Danny, and lifted the boy's chin gently. Listen, Danny, we're going to help you. Just hang tight. He caught sight of neighbors moving to join him, forming a makeshift circle of support around the boy. Voices merged into a collective encouragement, a reminder that hope was not lost amidst the shadows. Is anyone here a nurse? A doctor? One neighbor shouted, breaking through the din. Tom's heartbeat raced as others began divvying tasks, rallying amid the crisis. A woman stepped forward, a nearby resident, his mind jolted with recognition. Her name was Karen, a nurse, who had often spoken to Tom during neighborhood gatherings. Give me space, people, she commanded, jumping right into action. Tom felt admiration swell in his chest. Here was strength, emerging when they needed it most. As he watched her move, a surge of hope connected him to the crowd, everyone was becoming part of the solution. Lily tugged at his shirt. "Can we help?" she asked, her voice small but filled with undeniable courage. "Not right now, girls," he murmured, and yet, the idea of their involvement ignited a spark in him. "But we can do something afterwards. Together." For a moment, the world became a blur of hands and voices, all uniting in a frantic effort to help Danny. As sirens wailed in the distance, Tom knew this night hadn't just been about the decorations or lights. It was about facing darkness together. Suddenly, though, an unsettling feeling crawled back. What if the shadows lurking beyond the lights were not just metaphorical? As they banded together, he couldn't shake the thought, what else could emerge from the dark? Would the community rally stand strong against unknown threats, or would they falter? With the air thickening with anticipation, Tom felt the weight of the moment more than ever before. The phone buzzed in his pocket again, that ominous text still unread. Hesitation gripped him. What awaited him on the other side? He took one last glance at Danny, then back at his girls, and swallowed hard. Could their newfound strength withstand whatever lay ahead, or would they all be swallowed by the shadows once more? The next few days rolled by in a haze. The community pulled together brilliantly. They came together in their raw, unfiltered humanity, surrounding Danny and his family with warmth and support. Flowers arrived at their doorstep, meals were cooked, and friends volunteered for babysitting. Tom watched as his whole neighborhood found strength in solidarity. But while he saw the light around him, the shadows loomed heavier in his heart. It was the urgent messages he received that twisted his stomach, each one more alarming than the last. Each knock on the door made him jumpy. Who were these people threatening his family? Would they act? Could he stand guard against whatever lay in the darkness? One night, as he sat rocking Lily to sleep, he heard Mia in the other room quietly talking to Mr. Henderson. "Why do bad things happen?" she asked. Tom tiptoed closer, trying to listen without eavesdropping. Henderson's response sent warmth through him. "Sometimes things seem scary, kiddo. But when we stand together, we become stronger than the dark." Mia's determination pierced the night air. "We can't let it win, right?" Tom felt the tears pool in his eyes. They were right, there was no more time to hesitate. That night, fueled by the love surrounding him, he decided it was time to address the community. They had each other, they might just prevail. The next day, he marched into Joe's auto shop, where he had held countless garage meetups before, and gathered everyone. "Listen up," he shouted, punctuating the warm summer air. "We've been fighting battles, but I think we have to be honest with each other. You all know about the messages. I can't keep lying to myself. There are threats out there. I want to be brave for my family, but I need you. I want to ask you for a community watch." A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd, surprised looks exchanging. "And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels scared," he continued. "But darkness doesn't have to triumph. If we band together, if we work as one, we can create a shield that protects each other and our homes. There's strength in knowing we have each other's backs." Joe stepped forward. "Tom's right. We all need to stand up and not let fear dictate our lives. Who's with us?" The fervent responses of "we are" spilled forth like an ocean wave, head nods turned into firm agreements. They shared their concerns, ideas, and planned meetings to find solutions. The shaking resolve Tom initially felt started to bloom into energy. Love wrapped around them like a lifeline, pushing back against the shadows that threatened to engulf them. Days turned into weeks, and gradually, Tom saw changes, both within himself and his family. He was letting go of the burden of fear. Each time doubts crept in as he surveyed the neighborhood, angry messages started to lose their effect. He guided his daughters through it all, teaching them the power of facing down fear with light and laughter. They organized community cleanups, seasonal parties, and moments for family storytelling sessions at the park. Shared vulnerability became the fabric of their lives. One sunny Sunday afternoon, as families gathered for a barbecue at the park, laughter filled the air. Children played freely while the adults mingled, sharing anecdotes and dreams for a brighter future. Tom looked across the crowd. There were no shadows here, just a connection that bound every heart and home. But as they prepared for the last round of games, Tom's phone buzzed in his pocket. The message sent a chill through him. "You're out of your depth, Tom. Just wait. We're watching." He felt the ground shift beneath him, uncertainty transforming into raw determination. "Dad?" Mia asked, her gaze catching him lost in thought. "You okay?" Tom knelt before her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Yeah, sweetie. Just thinking. I want you to know something. No matter what happens, we can face it together." Mia nodded, her eyes reflecting bravery. Together. He hugged her tight, feeling the warmth of resolution swell between them. They could conquer the darkness as long as they had each other. Tom stepped back, headed towards the community, charged with renewed energy. "Everyone," he called, raising his voice to the heavens. "Yesterday, today, tomorrow we will take on what comes our way. With all of you beside me, I know we can and will overcome." Cheers erupted, and he planted his feet firm. Upon looking into the sea of familiar faces, he felt invincible. The community stood taut at his side, a vibrant constellation in the twilight. And then came the revelation. This battle wasn't just his, it was theirs, intertwined with the family ties of every person gathered that day. As the sun started to set, painting the sky with oranges and purples, he understood their hopes, resilience, and the strength they had forged through adversity. He smiled, knowing that they could withstand anything together. The future still loomed with uncertainties, but amidst it all sparkled the unwavering spirit of togetherness, a light that would never dim, no matter how dark the night became. No one would ever walk alone again. So, if you're as inspired by this community spirit as I am, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share this with 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support.